Hello, my name is Shiva and I'm 12 years old and I live in Santa Fe, New Mexico. If you're wondering what this video is a heaven story. Now, heaven stories are basically the story of a person's soul through multiple incarnations, or of a general term like love, war, hatred, and today, self-doubt. Now, I'm going to be reading what self-doubt is and why it's here, or whatever else happens to come to me. So I guess that's about all there is to be said. Let's begin. Self-doubt isn't exactly uncommon in people. A lot of people doubt themselves extremely. They aren't sure if they're going to do it right, and if they do it wrong, they hate themselves for it. Self-doubt can be crippling almost, and it can hinder you from doing the things that will actually benefit you in life. I should know, I've had my own little bouts of self-doubt where I wasn't sure if I could do it or not, and I almost backed out. But I realized that if you do, then, as cheesy as it's going to sound, what's there to experience? If you don't do something that might make you a little nervous, or might freak you out, or might make you think you can't, how are you ever going to know? How are you ever going to know that you can't do it? How are you ever going to know if you can just get better at it? You're not going to know because you're not going to experience anything. Self-doubt's just going to keep you held there, and you're going to stick in your comfort zone, and you're never going to do anything with your life. And what's the point in that? The thing about self-doubt is it's not something that most people can easily shut on and off. And although it is actually quite easy to make the choice to not doubt yourself or not hate yourself, a lot of people can't wrap their minds around that concept, and they have to work towards it, because it's the only way we know how to. And that's alright. It's fine if you can't automatically just say, oh, I'm not going to doubt myself anymore, and just shut it off like a switch. Sometimes people have to work to be comfortable with themselves and to what they plan to do, and if you are, then I know how you feel. But self-doubt's been around since pretty much humans have. It's been there to stop them from taking a big risk that may have ended in either high success or extreme failure. It's probably caused more than 100 to die. Thousands upon millions of humans have probably died because they've doubted themselves and made a huge mistake instead. And it's not like it's made up. People can't just pretend to doubt themselves. You either do or you don't. And I feel like a lot of people like to hide that they doubt themselves and then pretend that they're confident, but they're not. And that's just as damaging. Fake confidence isn't confidence. It's just a mask you put on to make yourself feel better. You can act confident all you want, but you're not really, are you? The thing is, to work up to confidence, you have to first start doing little things. The little things that you might be a little iffy doing otherwise. The ones that you're like, I don't know. You know, trying a crazy new food maybe. Or going to a party. Or, I don't know, texting that guy who gave you his number the other night. That kind of stuff. Just little things that you wouldn't normally do, but aren't exactly a huge risk. And then you can work your way up to bigger stuff. Maybe starting a channel, or joining a group, learning a new instrument maybe, going skydiving, I don't know what you're scared of. Maybe going to meet snakes or spiders or whatever else you're terrified of. And the difference between self-doubt and nervousness is pretty big. Nervousness is just a natural reaction we have to a potentially dangerous, embarrassing, humiliating, or awkward situation. But self-doubt is where we really genuinely feel scared of doing this specific thing. We feel like if we do it, our lives might fall apart. Like, extreme cases of self-doubt are writing an important essay for school, public speaking, writing a book and publishing that book, stating your opinion on a social website. Because I am telling you, internet people are brutal. They have no mercy on you. And self-doubt, probably, now I'm going to get into the spiritual part of it, so cover your ears if you're not into that. But the point is, when we look inside ourselves, self-doubt really is just a lack of understanding of a certain part of ourselves. If we don't love a certain part of our souls or an aspect of ourselves, it may manifest itself into self-doubt, which will hinder us from doing a lot of things that we want to do. And until we try to understand that self-doubt is just a part of us we're not loving, it's going to keep coming back. Even if we get it over in one issue, it'll come back in another. And it'll keep coming, and it'll keep ruining our lives in tiny little insignificant ways. Or possibly cause us to lose our jobs, friends, potential careers. You know, things like that. And it can be terrifying to love yourself. It can be distressing to look at yourself and say, I love you. And to look at the parts of you that you might not like, and the parts of you that may not be necessarily good, and say, I love you. I love you just the same. Even though you may cause me problems, even though you are nagging and annoying and all over the place, I love you. Because you are a part of me, and you are important in your own way. But if that part of you is a wasp, please don't love it. I hate wasps.
Okay.
I'm kidding, but truly, you don't have to love every part of yourself. You don't. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to love yourself at all. But you feel better when you do. And when you decide to start working towards that, you'll notice a lot of positive changes in your life. Instead of just wallowing in your own misery and self-hatred, you actively work to make a change and try to improve yourself, and that usually yields good results. And, I mean, I guess I can't really force anyone. Nobody can force you to love yourself. You can't force you to love yourself. You can just let it flow naturally, and you'll realize that self-doubt was never really there. It was just your mind and your soul making it up to say, hey, look over here. You've got to love me. You've got to love me too. You can't just love this part of you. I'm you too. Love me. You know? And honestly, to sum it all up, self-doubt is just a lack of loving yourself. And if you think you love yourself, but you have self-doubt, there's something you're missing. There's something you're not looking at. There's something you're refusing to look at. And until you do, that self-doubt's not going away. So, I would suggest just work towards it. Work towards understanding yourself, work towards loving yourself, and work towards accepting every aspect of yourself, even if it's an aspect you may not be proud of. Because even though you're not proud of it, it's okay, because it's still wonderful, and it's still you, and that makes it beautiful, however it may be. Questions?
Okay, so my name is Kansan. Shiva's dad. So first question is a very practical question that comes from my own experience. Very often people, I know that from myself, have programs. Things that we either have been taught a long time, or like a perpetuating thought, opinion we just carry about ourselves, and we see it reflected all the time in the thoughts we think it to be true. For example, as a kid I thought I wasn't very smart. My brother was the smart one. So it took me a long time to dare to also be smart. So how do you deal with programs that are deeply ingrained in your thinking and in your self?
Playing along with this metaphor, you are your own coder. You are your programmer. You can look at yourself. You can, if you choose to, look at yourself and reprogram yourself to not think like that. You can take this virus code, I'm going to refer to these toxic ideas and mentalities as a virus. You can take this virus and you can debug it. You can cut it out of the code, you can fix it, and you can clear it out of your system, out of your code, your computer code. And it can be hard, it can be very difficult to recode yourself, to reprogram yourself, to be yourself. Because the way your code's originally intended, you are everything. You are smart, you are reckless, you are brave, you are a scaredy cat, you are everything. But the aspects of yourself you choose to live are the ones that you programmed when you were born. Those are the ones you grew up with. Nothing anybody else tells you is your code. The mentalities people shove into your head of how you are viruses and need to be cut out. Because they're not you. They're not how you really are. Only you that you are is how you see yourself. You can be smart if you think you're smart. You can be beautiful if you think you're beautiful. And only if you truly believe it. Because trust me, I've met some people who act like they're geniuses, but they're not. And you know they don't think that deep down. But they're compensating. They're overcompensating for their misbeliefs. So if you truly look at your own code and say, yeah, I am beautiful, and truly believe it, then you are. The toxic mentalities of other people who don't understand themselves as even close to the way you understand yourself don't matter. They're useless. Those opinions don't shape you. You shape you. You let whatever you want to let influence you.
Okay, question number 2. You're talking about self-doubt. And you previously said that self-doubt comes from us not loving a part of ourselves. What exactly is the self?
It's hard to describe a self, but pretty much yourself is your entire being. Your body, your soul, your mind, every aspect that you are, this giant cosmic being that you are, this everything, this consciousness, this awareness of that you are you. This knowledge of being yourself is yourself. It's the endless expanse of only being limited by as large as the universe is. And that self has so many parts of it. And if you don't love all of them, the entire machine crumbles. It's like oiling every it's like oiling every gear except one. That gear is going to hold up all the rest of it because it's rusted so that it can't move anymore. If you don't keep that one clean, the others can't do anything either. The entire machine stops working.
I see. Thank you very much, honey. These were my questions. Can you say something about how people can get a heaven story?
Absolutely. If you'd like a heaven story of your own, you should contact my dad at cansandtrento@gmail.com or any of his Facebook websites, which are going to be, who knows where you
Cans and Trento.
They're pretty much just Cans and
As
Trento.
well as Warriors of Light.
And Warriors of Light. I knew the other one, Dad. Thank you.
Okay.
You can ask about prices, have a couple questions for the heaven, of what a heaven story is in more detail. You can ask him and he'll help you out and he'll get you set up. And just a forewarning, usually it takes a couple of weeks for us to read a heaven story because we read twice a week, 2 heaven stories on 2 days of those weeks. So you may get them within a month or 3 weeks of ordering.
Thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.